Hi, everyone. Welcome to this month's edition of the Wednesday webinar. We do these webinars for faculty once every month, usually the third Wednesday of the month, and it just gives us a chance to take a deep dive into one of our databases in the library. We have a lot, so it's always nice to get someone from an expert in the database to come kind of walk us through. We all learn something. So today we're excited, especially because we have Cindy Slater from EBSCO here to walk us through our very exciting, newly upgraded collection that supports research on the topics of nursing and healthcare. That's CINHAL Ultimate. We used to have CINHAL Complete. Now we've upgraded to CINHAL Ultimate. And with this upgrade, we have remarkably expanded our nursing and allied health resources. And Cindy will get into the details about what that means and what now we can offer and have access to. But I want to take a moment first to just thank the feedback that we've received in the past from our nursing faculty and health faculty about what gaps are apparent in our collection. This upgrade means we now have access to a few key journals that faculty, I believe one of them is here. Thank you, Gwen, for always being upfront with us about what gaps you see in the collection. Because of course, along with our continuously monitored usage statistics, that kind of feedback from faculty, our VIPs who are in the collections all the time, who know what the needs of our students are, if we can take that faculty, that faculty feedback, we can really justify and make the case for enhancements like this. So thank you to everyone for always being upfront with that feedback. Please keep it coming. And on that note, Allison McDermott, she is your liaison in CAS, and she's always available to assist you with CINHAL or with any questions you might have about the library or resources or anything related to research in the curriculum any time of day. I'll drop her email in the chat. Please reach out to her with any questions that you might have. Okay, and one thing I also wanted to, normally I just say a little bit of something and then hand things over, but we actually have another exciting announcement. I want to just mention quickly before we get started that there's a new Library OneSearch experience coming soon. It's coming next Tuesday, August 27th, actually. So you can expect an entirely new experience when you're searching within Library OneSearch. Now, the actual library homepage won't change at all. You'll really only notice the changes once you start searching in EDS. That's our discovery service powered by EBSCO. And you'll notice it's very much improved just user experience wise with a custom dashboard in Library OneSearch. In the past, I know students, and I'll be honest, sometimes I struggled also remembering to log into my EBSCO folder to save articles and save my searches in EBSCO. This new interface is great. It makes it so much easier to navigate, to save your research, save your searches, just as you go. So we're very excited about it. And the launch is coming next Tuesday. If after the launch you have any questions, or if your students have questions about it, please reach out to us. Encourage your students to reach out to us. We'll happily walk anyone through the new interface. I'm going to drop links we have a tutorial for the new interface that we made. I'll drop that in the chat. We also have an announcement that's going to go out. It's an HTML announcement that you can use in your courses just to let your students know that this change is coming. I will drop that in the chat and send it out with the resources for this webinar. So just know you have those there. And there's an email coming to all students, hopefully later today, just about all these changes and the research, or the resources to help them with the transition if they need it. But it's such a great change. I really think students are going to take to it quickly. It's very nice. Okay, that's enough of me. Back to the regularly scheduled program. Welcome to Cindy Slater. We love having Cindy come and train us in all the EBSCO databases that she's such an expert in. We always learn something. So thank you for being here, Cindy. I want to take just a quick moment and walk everyone through how to get to CINHAL in the library database. And so this is the library homepage with our Library One search box here. This will stay the same no matter what. It's the same library that we know and love. Now, if you do want to get to CINHAL Ultimate, there are several ways to get there, I'll be honest, but the most direct way I find is find articles and more from the top here. And then our database A to Z list is really just an easy way to find whatever database you might be looking for. And from databases A to Z, you can, just like you did with CINHAL Complete, you're going to jump to C, but this time you'll see CINHAL Ultimate there. And clicking on that link will take you to the CINHAL Ultimate landing page. So, so for faculty and students, you won't have to do that extra step. It's just because I use a login that the librarians use. But once you're logged into Canvas, you will have a seamless experience getting through there. So at this point, I will hand things over to Cindy. Thank you.
Wonderful. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for your time today. Thank you for the introduction, Karen. So let me go ahead and I'll share my screen, and then we'll talk about what we're going to cover in today's session. So just to introduce myself before we start today, as Karen mentioned, my name's Cindy Slater. I work for EBSCO Information Services. We are headquartered in Massachusetts, in Ipswich, Massachusetts, which is about an hour north of Boston. I'm coming to you today from my home office in Boston. In my role with EBSCO, I provide training to our customers across the US, Canada, and the English-speaking Caribbean, and I focus on products in the medical market. I have got a background in healthcare. I was an allied health professional in Australia for a number of years, and I also worked in the UK and the National Health Service in the UK as well. And actually back in my clinical days, I actually used the CINHAL database. Well, back then I was sort of pre-internet, but I did use CINHAL back in those days as well. So I've got a very long history with this particular database. So it's lovely to meet you. And let me go ahead. I'm going to switch off my camera during the presentation. And then I've got a few slides to introduce the resource. Now, if you have got any questions along the way, please don't hesitate to send through your questions. I've got 3 screens in front of me, and I've got the chat up on one of my screens so I can see those questions as they are coming through. So in today's session, we'll go through some search tips to help you get the most out of your searches. We'll move across to the live environment and we'll do some keyword searching and also subject heading searching. And I invite you to search along with me. If you are someone who likes to learn by doing, I'm one of those people as well. If you'd like to learn by doing, feel free to search along with me. And Karen has very kindly placed some links in the chat there that will allow you to access the CINHAL database. We'll talk about some of the special limiters that are available in the database, how to combine searches via the search history, the alert functionality that's available on the EBSCO host searching platform. We'll look at some of the additional content that's available in the database, so evidence-based care sheets, quick lessons, and continuing education modules. And also in the CINHAL Ultimate database, you have access to some instructional videos. So we'll talk about those things, and then we'll finish off on our help site, which is called EBSCO Connect. So it's always good to have learning objectives for the session, and I hope that coming out of today's session, you'll be able to understand some key tips and tricks for searching the CINHAL database on the EBSCO host platform, be able to identify some special limiters and field options that are available in the CINHAL database that maybe can help you create a targeted search. Understand how subject headings are assigned and then be able to perform a search using subject headings, and then know where to find those help materials and FAQs and help sheets, etc., available on the EBSCO Connect site. So a little bit more about the CINHAL database. So CINHAL, the Cumulative Index to Nursing and Allied Health Literature, very popular, very highly regarded database for evidence-based practice. The version of CINHAL that you have access to is CINHAL Ultimate. So in the past, you had access to CINHAL Complete. CINHAL Ultimate is the flagship version of CINHAL. And if we have a look at this slide here, if we have a look at the jump in terms of full text access you now have access to in this database. From CINHAL Complete, you had 717 full text journals and magazines. CINHAL Ultimate more than doubled, so over 1,800 full text journals and magazines. Now, if we look at that just over 1,800, the majority of them are peer-reviewed, active full-text peer-reviewed journals. And also, if we look at the next line down here, of those 1,600, just over 1,300 are peer-reviewed journals with no embargo. So that means that there's no delay on when the full text becomes available in the database. So you can see this newer version, this higher version of CINHAL that you have access to, has significantly increased the content that you've got available to you. A little bit more about this CINHAL Ultimate version. These couple of slides talk about active full text journals by country or region. So you can see the content is spread across the globe. And there's definitely a lot of content that is US content, but it's, again, a significant jump from the complete version to the ultimate version. Now, the next few slides, I'm going to scroll through. I'm not going to stop and speak to every single journal that's available on the slide, that's detailed on the slide, but these journals that are on the next few slides are journals that are available in CINHAL Ultimate, where there is no embargo, so no delay on the full text. Sometimes the publisher will place a delay when the full text becomes available. These titles have no embargo, and these titles are titles that are not available in any other full text version of CINHAL. So these are new to you here through your subscription to CINHAL Ultimate. So again, I'm not going to scroll through, speak to every single one, but as I'm scrolling through, you might identify a few titles here that you maybe want to explore, be able to search, maybe even set up a publication alert and get notified anytime there's a new issue of the publication added to the CINHAL Ultimate database. So you can see quite a few slides that I am moving through, covering a range of different areas. Okay, so all available in full text with no delay on the full text. Now, in the CINHAL Ultimate database, you also have access to videos. They are instructional videos, so they can help students learn about specific techniques, and they covered a range of topics. And I can provide you information. I'll provide some links in the chat later on in the session where you can see the full list of videos that are available in the database. You can see the full list of education modules, the full list of evidence-based care sheets, and also quick lessons. So I will add those links in the chat a little later on in the session. So it's great to see those comments coming through in the chat. It is awesome. I'm very excited I'm very happy that you're excited about this upgrade here. Fantastic. So just as a refresher about searching, it is important to have a well-constructed search. You can make use of Boolean operators when you are searching. Boolean operators are the words and, or, and not. These words in your search can help to narrow your search, to broaden your search, or to omit a term from your search. You can use them in uppercase or lowercase, basic searching or advanced searching. And yes, I will send through a copy of these presentation slides to the library. So you're welcome to reach out to the library if you'd like a copy of these slides. And you're welcome to make use of them in your teaching as well. Some other things that can help you when you are searching, you have the asterisk as a truncation or a word stemming device. So this is great for picking up different endings to a word stem. If we think of the word stem NURS with the asterisk, that's going to pick up nurse, nursing, nurses, any variation of that. The third search tip, the multiple character wildcard of the hash symbol. This looks for nothing in place of the hash and also a letter in place of the hash. A popular way to use this one is for those words where there's a difference between British and American English. So words like colour, behaviour, paediatric, they're all examples of where you may choose to use the hash symbol. The searching platform is pretty good at picking up both spellings anyway, but it doesn't hurt to just file this search tip away, and you may choose to use it just to make sure you've captured everything. And then the last search tip is to use quotation marks for phrase searching. So let's start off with some keyword searching. Now, it's always good to know what is being searched when you do what's called an unqualified search. Unqualified search means you enter your search term and then you click on the search button. What is being searched? In the CINHAL database, it searches for your keyword in the title of articles, the abstract of articles, the subject headings that describe the content of the article, the PubMed ID, the digital object identifier, and the author field. So that's an unqualified search. It's always good to know what is being searched because it does vary from database to database. Now, there is a field option called the all text field, and I'll make sure to point that out when we're in the live environment. And when you use the all text field, it searches for the keyword in the full text of articles as well as the citation record. We'll come back to these searchable fields in a moment, but let's make our way across to the searching interface. So you would access via the library page. I'm signing in. Just a different way for me to access, but I get taken to the searching interface, and from here I can select which database or databases I want to search. Now you've got access to quite a number of different EBSCO databases. We won't focus on all of them today, we're just going to focus on CINHAL Ultimate. So let me select CINHAL Ultimate, and now let's go ahead and do our search. So we'll start off with a fairly simple search, and then we'll build in some complexity. Let's do a search around trauma-informed care, which in itself, that's a fairly broad topic, and I could very easily end up with thousands of results if I just was to go ahead and run that search. Actually, let's do that, and we'll see. Broad topic, I have quite a number of results. So let's give it our search a focus. So trauma-informed care and mental health. And you can see I've got a much more focused result list. So what is it about, what aspect of that topic am I interested in, and build that into my search so I've got a more focused, more targeted search topic and a more focused result list. 493 results, a good number of results, not an overwhelmingly large number, and that's the benefit of having that more targeted search. Now, the results are sorted by relevance. So this is looking at things like matches with your keywords in the title of the article and the subjects, the abstract, and it also looks at some other factors like the length and the type and the recency of the document, and those factors in the background determine the sort order by relevance. So the most relevant results are sitting at the top of the results list. You can change the sort order if you'd like. There might be times where you want to find the most recent research, so we could switch to the date newest. Now, down the left-hand side, we've got options to refine our results. You'll notice that the search mode we have in place is called proximity. And what this means is that we can use the Boolean operators, so we can use and, or, and not. It also searches for words when they're in close proximity to each other. It's almost searching for them like they're kind of like a phrase without having to use quotation marks. So as long as these words mental and health are within a few words of each other, it will recognize those because it recognizes that's what we're looking for. Now, further down, we have options to limit our results further. Quite often, we're interested in more recent results, so we can limit by publication date range. So, for instance, the last 5 years. We've got options to filter by source type. And in the CINHAL database, you have not only content from academic journals, but you have got other source types there. So this is a quick way to filter to the content types that are of most interest to you. And then continuing down, we have more ways that we can filter our results. Now, if we come down here to say age and gender as filter options, let's use gender as our example here. If you select female, it doesn't mean that every single person in the study has to be female, it just means there has to be at least one female in the study. So now that you've applied your limiters and filters, you can go ahead and you can work with the result list. We've got options here to link out to the full text. When you see PDF and or HTML full text, it means the full text is available in one of your EBSCO databases, and you can open up the full text and work with the full text from here. If it's not available in one of the EBSCO databases, you'll see this link here. I'm not sure how far I can go with this, but let's click on the link. It opens in a new tab, and you can see here it's giving us some options here, how we might be able to access the full text or request the full text from here. So it is letting us know that this particular article is the full text is available via open access, and you can also view it from Sage. So this link here check for full text. It will open in a new tab and it's showing you options to access the full text outside of the EBSCO subscription. If there are any results where you don't see any kind of link option there, I'm sure the library won't mind if I say reach out to the library, and I might ask if the library email address or contact information could be added into the chat. That'll be wonderful.
Absolutely.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much for that.
thank you.
I
Is it,
also want to say one more thing. I'm sorry, and
please.
Karen, you might have already been saying this. In our library too, on the version of our account, we have it set default set to only include results from that we have full text access to. So you really shouldn't see any areas where you don't see the full text underneath the article. But if that ever does happen, yes, please do reach out. Karen will put in the email, but you really shouldn't find that you are finding resources that we don't have full text access to.
Thank you very much, Kira. And it might be that I was using the login version as opposed to using the quick link that you have on your library site. Thank you. So let's go ahead and work with a full text result. So we've got PDF and HTML full text. The full text is available in the EBSCO database. We can open up the full text and we can work with the full text from here. Sometimes a question will come through in a training session around, do I need to pay to access this full text? No, you don't. It's available in full text in this database. The university has a subscription to the database, so you have access to this full text. You don't need to pay anything to view this full text. It's part of the subscription. So you can use this as part of your work, and you can work with this. You can share this internally if you'd like. So you can print, you can save, you have options to save to the cloud. There is a citation format tool, which is a very popular tool. I want to cite this article, APA 7th edition, copy and paste from here. Great time saver for you. Or if you have access to EndNote, you might want to export to EndNote from here, you can do so. And the last tool here, the permalink, say you'd like to share this article with students. Copy this permalink here and you can paste it, you can post it, you can send it. When somebody clicks on the link, if it recognizes they are part of the university, so if they're on the network at the time and they are able to be authenticated, they'll be taken to this page. It will recognize they are part of the subscription, so they'll be able to view the full text and work with the full text. Now, very importantly, if you are going to share, make sure to use the permalink. Don't use the link in the URL bar. The URL bar link is a session only link, so this one does expire. This link will expire when I close out at the end of our time today. The permalink is the way to go. HTML full text, if it's available, you'll notice that there is a translate tool. So if you'd like to translate this into a language other than English, there are a number of language options available. Now, the last thing we'll do with this article, we'll look at the detailed record screen. Detailed record screen shows us all of the particulars of the article. And we know sometimes when we are searching, we find something of interest and we say, what else has that person authored? We do a bit of lateral research from here. What else has that person authored? We can do an author field search from here. We can see the affiliations for the authors, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. We can see the publication that it sits in, the subject headings that describe the content of the article, and we can see some other information about this article. Let's stay on this search, and I now want to work with some of these results. Maybe it's one of those days where you've got back-to-back meetings and you don't have a chance to go in and read all of these, but you would like to save them so you can circle back and access them at another point in time. Now, at the moment, I'm saving them and they're getting pinned here in the right-hand column. At the moment, this folder in the right-hand column is a session-only folder. So once I close out at the end of our time today, I lose whatever's in the folder. It's a temporary folder. If you'd like to create a permanent folder, you can create a free permanent folder up here in the top toolbar. So click on Sign In and then Create an Account. Complete this form. Read through the privacy policy. If you consent, check the box and then go ahead and create your account and click to sign in. Now we'll pause for a moment just to ask the library team, do you have a preference? Do you prefer that library users use their university email address when creating a personal account?
That's a great question. We are happy for students, for faculty to use whatever email works best for them. whether it's, a lot of students prefer to use their UAGC account just so because they're used to using it, and you will have to click a verification link. So, a lot of students just want something that they readily get into. But yeah, that's a great question. I
Thank
like
you
the
very
flexibility of being able, a lot of students I know want to use maybe their personal account for some things and their UAGC account for others. So thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, just use the account that you are something that you are checking on a regular basis. Because if you are going to set up search alerts, for example, you want them to come to something that you are checking at a regular basis, on a regular basis. So sorry, I actually wasn't able to sign into my account there. Again, I've signed in a slightly different way, so that might be why I was getting an error message. But if I was to look in my permanent account, I would have my name here. So it'd say Cindy's folder. In your permanent account, you'd have these options here. You can save articles, you can save searches, you can manage alerts. And then in your personal account, your permanent folder, you'd also have this section here where you can create subfolders and then save things to subfolders. So maybe you've got a subfolder around trauma-informed care and you save all of your articles to that subfolder. And then maybe you're doing another search topic around, say, dementia, and then you've got a dementia subfolder and you can save your articles there. So you'll see that in your permanent folder. Sorry, I'm not able to demonstrate it today. And then you can also work with items within your folder. So free account that you can create that allows you to save things and come back and access those things in another session. So a great way to be able to keep that research that you're working on. Now back on the results list, we've got this share button. About halfway down, we've got this option to create an email alert. You do need to be signed into your personal account in order to set up the alert. You can choose the frequency you'd like the search to be run and then go ahead and save your alert. So now once the alert is set up, anytime there's new content added to the database that matches your search, you'll receive an email notification. So this is fantastic if you are monitoring a particular topic. Set up your alert, set up your search, set up your alert, and then let that research come to you. And then later on down the track, if you no longer need the alert, you can go into your folder and you can delete the alert from your folder. So let's do a quick recap and then we'll start to build in some complexity to our searches. So we did a fairly simple keyword search. We've refined our results. We've looked at options to link out to the full text or reach out to the library, or the other link to link out to options outside of the EBSCO subscription. We looked at tools to work with the results, the personal folder and the alerts. Any questions around anything that we've covered so far? If there are any questions, feel free to send them through as a chat message. I'll keep my eye on the chat, but in the meantime, we'll keep moving on. Now, I touched on the fact that you've got some field options available. This is the all text field that I mentioned in the introductory slide. When you use the all text field, it searches for your keyword in the full text of articles as well as the citation record. So this could be in use if maybe what you are searching for is maybe it's a very new topic or very niche topic and you just want to see any time it's mentioned. It doesn't have to be the topic of the article. You just want to see any time it's mentioned. Use that all text field. Then we've got some other field options. So things that are common to different databases. I'm looking for the keyword in the title of the article or the abstract, or I'm looking for something by a particular author. And then continuing down, we've got some special field options here. Author affiliation. I'm looking for any research in the database where there's an author affiliation with the University of Arizona. We could use this author affiliation field. Continuing down, grant information. I'm looking for any research that maybe has been funded by a particular grant, or maybe the organisation funds a number of grants and you'd like to see any research there. Instrumentation field. I'm looking for any research that has used a particular validated tool, some kind of research instrument. And for this example, I'm going to say I'm interested in any research that has used the Cornell scale for depression in dementia. For the Cornell scale for depression in dementia, I'm using the instrumentation field and I can see research that has used this particular validated tool. Survey, questionnaire, scale, index. And when I click on the detailed record screen, we should see that the Cornell scale for depression in dementia is referenced here. So that's the instrumentation field. So I encourage you to have a look at all of the field options that are available in the CINHAL database. These are just some of them. So that's the grant information one that I mentioned a moment ago. Here's that instrumentation field. So searches words in the instrumentation field, which includes statistical instruments discussed in an article. And then publication name, I'm looking for content in a particular journal or publication. So some of the searchable field options that are available in the CINHAL database. Another way that you can make your searching a little more advanced is to have a look at the limiter options that are available. Now we're back on the advanced search screen. I've clicked on new search between my searches just to clear everything, so we've got a clean slate to work with. We've got some limiter options that are common across different databases. So we can limit by publication date range, full text. Then we've got some limiters that are special to the CINHAL database. They reflect the type of content that sits in the CINHAL database. We've got one here that's called the evidence-based practice limiter. So let's have a look at this one. Now, with this evidence-based practice limiter, when you apply this limiter, you limit your results to articles from evidence-based practice journals, about evidence-based practice, research articles, also commentaries on research studies. So using this limiter is a nice quick way to obtain a set of valuable results. There's also a limiter called the clinical queries limiter. So these are search strategies that can be applied to retrieve clinically relevant and scientifically sound results. There are 5 different areas, research areas: therapy, prognosis, review, qualitative, and causation. And for each of these areas, you can choose how broad or targeted you'd like the search to be run. Now, for those of you who are familiar searching in PubMed, you may also be familiar with the clinical queries or searching Medline. There's a clinical queries limiter available in Medline and PubMed as well. So similar one here in the CINHAL database. And these are being created in collaboration with McMaster University. So let's have a look at these in the live environment. So there's definitely a lot of options here in the CINHAL database. I agree with the comment in the chat. So here's the evidence-based practice limiter. And I'm interested in the broad topic around sleep hygiene. Now, with that limiter in place, I've got 125 results. And if we have a look at these results, we can see here we've got a systematic review. And we know in terms of the evidence hierarchy, that's pretty high up in the evidence hierarchy. We can see here, again, we've got a systematic review. Got another systematic review. So I can see why these results have appeared in the results list with that limiter in place. Let's remove the limiter. So same search, broad search for sleep hygiene, but without that limiter in place, I've got over 2,000 results. So using that limiter, a nice quick way to obtain a set of valuable results. Let's go back to the limiter. So maybe you've run your search and then you think, oh, actually, I would like to use that clinical queries limiter or maybe one of the other special limiters in the CINHAL database. You don't have to go all the way back to the search screen again. You can stay on the results list. Below the publication date range limiter, you've got this link here that says show more, and this will bring you back to your limiter options. So at this point, if you want to limit by that evidence-based practice limiter, you can do so from here. Here's the clinical queries limiter. First author is a nurse, any author is a nurse. These are very popular limiters with nursing students. So quite often, assessment criteria and assignment is that you have to use an article where at least one author is a nurse. Applying this limiter and then entering your keyword is a nice quick way to obtain a set of results where, in this case here, any author in the article, at least one author in the article has been identified to be a nurse. Continuing down, publication type. Maybe you are interested in case studies. We can quickly find case studies from here, or you're specifically looking for randomized control trials. A lot of different options here. So fantastic question there in the chat. We have got a help article on EBSCO Connect that explains the limiter a little bit in a bit more detail, but it would be about what has been listed in the author information there with their qualifications by degree. Thank you. But I'll make sure to add that link in the chat when we visit EBSCO Connect later on. If I forget to, feel free to send through a chat message and I'll make sure we can find that link and I'll add that in the chat. Inpatients versus outpatient. And then this limiter here is a special limiter in the CINHAL database. It's a subset. So this is fantastic if rather than searching all the CINHAL content, you just like to search one or more of these subsets. And in terms of allied health, the major allied health professions are represented here in the special interest subset. So we've got occupational therapy, and we've got physical therapy, we've got speech and language pathology, audiology, plus more, all represented here in this special interest limiter. If you'd like to select more than one option, hold down the control button. So this is a special one that's available in the CINHAL database. So we've done some keyword searching. Let's start to talk about another way that you can search, and that's using subject headings. Now, in the CINHAL database, the controlled vocabulary thesaurus is called CINHAL subject headings. CINHAL subject headings, for those of you who are familiar with PubMed or Medline, you may have heard of MESH, medical subject headings. That's the controlled vocabulary used in Medline and PubMed. CINHAL subject headings, this controlled vocabulary is based on MESH, and then there are additional headings added around nursing and allied health. So there's definitely a lot of overlap between the two controlled vocabularies, but they're not an exact match for match. And understandably, because CINHAL is a nursing and allied health database, that's why those additional headings have been added around nursing and allied health. Now, when references are added to the CINHAL database, they go through an indexing process. So there are human indexes that are highly qualified medical indexes. They will read through the article, they will identify the topics in the article, and then they will assign headings from the controlled vocabulary that describe and these headings describe the content of the article. So when we search using these subject headings, it's a very powerful way of searching. You are retrieving results that have been identified to be about that topic. It can also be an efficient and a consistent way of searching as well. Maybe what you are searching for could be described by many different keywords, and rather than have to think of all the different ways it can be described, all of those options are mapped to one subject heading. Now, the controlled vocabulary is updated on an annual basis, and to reflect, what's happening in research. So you can imagine in recent years, headings like COVID-19 have been added into the controlled vocabulary. Vaping has been added in recent years as well. So whatever's happening in terms of research, when the controlled vocabulary is updated, these new terms are added to the controlled vocabulary thesaurus. And thank you, Kira, has added some information into the chat to answer the question about the written by a nurse limiter. Thank you. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll do a search using subject headings. Now, when you are searching using subject headings, the way we encourage you to approach your search is to look at your search topic, identify the different themes in your search topic, search each theme as an individual, or each topic, each concept in the search topic as an individual search, and then use the search history to combine your searches. So we've got a broad search here around the use of cognitive behavior therapy in the treatment or management of generalized anxiety disorder. So we're going to go into the controlled vocabulary, search for cognitive behavior therapy as a subject heading, find that, run that search for all articles that have been assigned that subject heading, and then we go back into the controlled vocabulary, search for generalized anxiety disorder as a subject heading, run that search, and then we'll combine our two searches from the search history. So again, if you'd like to follow along with me, feel free to do so. So let's make our way back to the searching interface, and we access the controlled vocabulary up here in the top toolbar, CINHAL subject headings. We've got a search box, and we've got 3 browse modes, and you can choose which browse mode you'd like to use for your search. I tend to use the relevancy ranked most of the time, so I'll keep this one as relevancy ranked. Cognitive behavior therapy is one part of our search topic. And when we click on browse, we can see that we have got a subject heading here of cognitive behavior therapy. Now, rather than just select it from here, I'd like to learn a little bit more about this subject heading. So I'm going to click on the subject heading to get taken to what's called the tree view. This is where I can see where this heading sits in the controlled vocabulary. Are there broader headings? Are there narrower headings? And if we think of a tree that's got a big branch and smaller branches coming off that, and smaller branches, eventually down to twigs, this is kind of like the tree view. So cognitive behavior therapy sits on the bigger branch of behavior therapy, which is on a bigger branch that's called behavior modification, which is on the bigger branch that's called psychotherapy, which is on the biggest branch, which is disciplines, tests, therapy, services. And then if we look at cognitive therapy, below cognitive therapy from acceptance and commitment therapy down to schema therapy, we say that these are narrower or child terms of cognitive therapy. And some of them might have narrower terms of their own. Now we can select cognitive therapy from here, and you'll notice that this button here automatically check explode. Anytime you've got a subject heading that's got narrower terms, you have the option to explode it. And what it means is that you capture the narrower aspects to that. So when I explode cognitive therapy, it means that I'm searching for articles that have been assigned the subject heading of cognitive therapy or ACT or cognitive restructuring or any of these options. So I'm capturing the narrow aspects. You don't have to, but it is a popular thing to do. If you just rather just cherry pick individual terms that you'd like to capture with the OR Boolean, you just go ahead and cherry pick those. But let's explode the subject heading of cognitive therapy. If you'd like to be a major concept, a major topic, a major theme in the article, you can check the box here. And we've got our scope note, and this defines the term, and this helps us to decide if this is the best fit for our search topic. If you are using a term that maybe you haven't used before, I do encourage you to have a look at the scope note just to make sure it is the best fit for your search topic. Sometimes you'll see information in the scope note that might say, for this aspect of this topic, use a different subject heading, and it will direct you to which subject heading to use. So if it's a subject heading that you haven't used before, you're not familiar with, have a look at the scope note just to make sure it's the best fit for your search topic. And then we've got a list of subheadings. So if you'd like to restrict your search using subheadings, you've got options to do so from here. I always find this information down the bottom of the blue column here very interesting. We can see history notes here. So we can see that before 1990, you'd have to use different subject headings. So if you were looking for older research, you'd need to use different subject headings. We can see some related headings, and we can see what it's used for. So I always find that interesting. So I always make sure to scroll down. So let's go ahead and we'll search the database, cognitive therapy, or any of its narrower terms. Let's go back. Second part of our search was around generalized anxiety disorder. I'll stay with the relevancy ranked browse mode. So generalized anxiety disorder, you can access the scope note from here as well. And again, if we want to have a look at that tree view, click on it to see where it sits in the controlled vocabulary. So here, generalized anxiety disorder, narrow to a broader term of anxiety disorders. These ones here are all in the same line. So we don't have the option to explode generalized anxiety disorder. It hasn't got any narrower terms. Nothing's coming off it. Nothing's a child term. These are all in the same line here under anxiety disorders. So we don't have that box available to us. Again, we've got our subheadings, and we can see our history notes here. So that's our second search. And now what we want to do is we want to combine our searches. So we're going to combine our searches via the search history. This shows us all of the searches that we've done in the current session. I've done 6 searches so far. I can see the terms that were used. Does anyone want to take a guess as to what that little plus sign there means for our search 5? Feel free to add it in the chat. I'll come back to that in a moment. So anyone want to guess what that plus sign there means? We can see any limiters or expanders that were in place. We can view the results of a search. We can save one or more of our searches to our personal folder. But what we are going to do in a moment, we're going to combine our searches with the AND Boolean. So the little plus symbol there means that that heading was exploded. So remember, we exploded cognitive therapy, or any of its narrower terms. All right, let's select search 5. Search 6 is already up there, so we don't need to select it again. I've selected search 5. I want to combine these 2 searches with the AND Boolean. And let me collapse that search history. I can look at these 138 results, and we can go ahead and work with these results. And if we have a look at the subjects, so we should see we've got generalized anxiety disorder with a subheading of risk factors, and we have got, I'm scanning through quickly to see Cognitive behavior therapy, cognitive behavior therapy or maybe one of its narrower terms. If anyone can see it in here, we'll have one of its narrower terms in here. I wonder if mindfulness was maybe one of the narrower terms, but look at another result. Let's have a look at one of these results. So this one here, we've got generalized anxiety disorder with a subheading of therapy. And here we've got acceptance and commitment therapy, which is one of the narrower terms, and with a subheading of methods. So I can see why these results have appeared in the result list. Very powerful way of searching. We have got tutorials available about the subject heading searching. So if you prefer to do keyword searching, that's absolutely fine, but is a popular way of searching in medical searching. All right, let's continue on because we've got a few more things to cover. Publications. This is where we can see all of the titles that sit in the CINHAL database. We can browse the title list information, and from here we can see the coverage that's available. Let's search by the subject of rehabilitation. I want to find all of the journals in CINHAL Ultimate that are related to rehabilitation. Now, for some journals, you get bibliographic records only. So that means that the citation information is available. However, the full text is not available in the database. You've got titles where you've got bibliographic records and full text to present. Sometimes you might have full text to an end date. Here's an example of an end date. And then sometimes you have what's called an embargo. I touched on that a little earlier on in the session. That means that the publisher has placed a delay on when the full text becomes available. So that title list information is available here in the publications. Now, if there is a journal that's of interest to you and you've got that personal account, you can click on the orange button and it'll give you the option to create a journal alert and get notified anytime there's a new issue of the publication added to the database. And it can be a table of contents alert or links to individual articles in that issue. Let's move along to some of this additional content that's available in the database. So additional content available in CINHAL Ultimate. You've got a library of continuing education modules. These are complementary with the database. They cover topics on patient care and drug administration. In each topic, you'll find course material, you'll find a practice test and a competency test. So you might assign these to students as maybe a learning activity, and you can actually set it up that the students can set it up in their profile that maybe you could get notified anytime they successfully complete a module, and you can get a copy of their certificate. I'll show you how you can set that up. Then there are evidence-based care sheets. These are summaries on key topics. You'll find the latest research and statistics and references on a given topic. And in the reference list, you'll see that the references are ranked according to a coding matrix. So this ties in really nicely for when you are talking about strength of evidence, assessing the evidence. You can see the evidence hierarchy with published meta-analysis being the strongest evidence. And then you've got quick lessons, evidence-based. They are mapped to these are overviews that are mapped to the workflow. So let's quickly have a look at these in the live environment. There's so much here in the CINHAL database that we really do need the full hour to talk about CINHAL. So here we've got the evidence-based care sheets. I'll just select one from the list here. But you can search the list of evidence-based care sheets. If we have a look at the structure, so we can see information about when it was last updated, we can see information about the authors, what we know, evidence-based, so links to the evidence throughout. And then we move through into what we can do, diversity, equity, and inclusion considerations, and then your full list of references. And you can see for each reference, there's a letter or letters. And when we scroll down, we can see the coding matrix. So if we have a look at, say, reference 8, it tells us it's an R. So it's published research, not a randomized controlled trial. So not the top in terms of the evidence hierarchy. Published meta-analysis is the strongest evidence, but still pretty high up in terms of the evidence hierarchy. So this could tie in very nicely into in the program when you are talking about assessing the evidence. Quick lessons. So map to the workflow. Again, I'll just select one from the list so we can have a look at the structure. Author information, editor information. We've got our description, etiology, facts and figures. What are some risk factors for this? What might the clinical presentation include? So as I mentioned, map to the workflow. So what will the assessment involve? What are going to be the treatment goals? What are some red flags I need to be on the lookout for? What are some food for thought? What do I need to include in the education, my education to the patient or patient's family? Diversity, equity, inclusion considerations, and then references. And again, with the references, you can see information about the reviewers are there. So looking at these quick lessons here, if I think back to sort of my university days when I was doing my course here, I think this might lend in nicely to maybe like a simulation type activity there, quick lessons there if you are observing if someone's the patient and then you've got someone that is providing that care and what kind of things they might cover in that care there. So all mapped to the nursing, to the workflow. Lovely. And then the CE modules. So I've clicked on New Search. We've got our continuing education modules. You have a library of CE modules. You do need to create an account. So you can click here. It'll open in a new tab. You need to create a free account. This is different to the folder that we spoke about earlier, the folders where you save your research. This is just for these CE modules. Click here to register. Students are welcome to register for these as well. And then once you have created your account, you can sign in. We can see information about these modules. They take about 1 hour to complete and approved for 1 contact hour of continuing education. To get a certificate, you must successfully answer or correctly answer at least 70% of the questions. So you can move through to the course material. There's a practice test if you'd like to do so. It's optional but encouraged because a lot of the questions in the final test are similar to ones in the practice test. And then when you are ready, you can click on the link, yes, I'm ready, and this will start your timer. You can have up to 2 opportunities within a 72-hour window. So if, say, a student does it the first time around, they get less than the 70%. As long as they sit it within that 72-hour window, second time around, they get 70% or above, they get their certificate. There's an FAQ section there that's got information about accreditations and affiliations and also some other FAQ answers there. So a lot of great content that's available in the CINHAL database. In our last few minutes, and then we'll have some time for some questions, I want to add a few links into the chat. So I mentioned the video collection. So you've got access to a library of videos in CINHAL Ultimate. I'm going to add this link into the chat. This is where you can see a list of the videos that are available, and they'll appear in the results list. And then if you'd like to browse the library of quick lessons, sometimes it is nice to see it in a document format. So here's a list of all of the quick lessons, and it might help you identify which ones you may choose to use in your classes. And then we've got our full list of CE modules, so a few links that we added in the chat. I'll also send these with the slide deck as well, so if you miss them as I'm sharing it in the chat, they'll come through with the slide deck that you can have access to. And the last one here, a full list of the evidence-based care sheets. There we go. So a few links that have been added into the chat. Actually, I think I added the continuing education modules one twice. Sorry about that. Evidence-based care sheets. So sometimes it is nice just to see it in a document form there. A question has come through. Do the videos meet your requirements as a third-party video? We might have to check with the library around that.
That's a great question, one that's been coming up a lot for us with course developments because we have pretty high standards as far as accessibility. This has come up with me with a lot of my courses lately. With video, we need to make sure that the video has closed captioning, which I assume all these videos do.
They do, yeah.
But also we need to be able to provide a transcript with audio descriptive characteristics. So, and that's what has been
Unless it's a talking head video. If it's a talking head video, it doesn't require that.
Yeah, just if there's images in the video, like, you know, nurses working in an emergency room while someone's talking over that scene, then we need audio description of what's going on screen. So that's one thing. And the thing is that if videos don't have a transcript like that, I know with some courses we've been able to, if we obtain permission from the publisher, we can create our own enhanced transcripts. So that would be something that we'd need to possibly work with Cindy and EBSCO to obtain that kind of permission, unless are your do you happen to know, Cindy, if your transcripts already have audio description
There
as a
are
feature?
transcripts available. I'm not sure. I'd have to check if they have got the
Okay.
audio descriptions available. We can work with that outside of today's call. But
Okay.
yeah, so I've got a few links in the chat. Just in terms of sake of time here, I've just added a link to our help site in the chat as well. Our help site's called EBSCO Connect, and you can quickly access that right at the bottom of the searching interface. And that's where you can find tutorials and FAQs and help sheets plus more. So let's bring a few things together before we close out. So with this fantastic database, you've got this expanded content coverage that's available in the database. It is important to have a well-structured search. So particularly if you've got a very broad topic, consider adding in some additional elements into your search to make it a little bit more focused, a little bit more targeted. You've got ways that you can refine your results. With the results list, you've got those different link options that are available. You've got the personal account that you can save things to and come back and access at another point in time. And you can also set up alerts, search alerts, and journal alerts. And there are a lot of help articles available on EBSCO Connect. So there are all of these links in the slide deck that will be shared. So if we go back to our learning objectives, hopefully in today's session, there might be a few key tips and tricks that you learned in today's session that might help you with your searching, some special limiters that maybe you haven't explored before, subject heading searching. Hopefully you feel comfortable being able to do a subject heading search and then use that EBSCO Connect link at the bottom of the site there to find our help articles and tutorials plus more. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for your time today. We're right on the hour there. So there's so much content in CINHAL, it does really take the full hour. Before we close out today, I will like to extend an invitation if you'd like a deeper dive into something, say like PICO, how to do a PICO search in the CINHAL database. Please do reach out to the library. I'd be delighted to host a follow-up session where we can talk about PICO. I didn't cover it in today's session because we had so much else to cover in today's session. It doesn't do it justice to sort of cover it in 5 minutes. So if you'd like a follow-up, please do reach out to the library.
Oh, you're so awesome, Cindy. Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll definitely discuss that with you. I appreciate your willingness to always just come and share with us about these different topics in the database. And it really just adds so much value to our collections in the library. So thank you for being there.
My pleasure. Again, thank you very much for your time today, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.